Buckle up because Sky Striker is going to take you down a ride for this new format. Come on, guys, make sure you smash the living crap out of that subscribe button. Don't be like one of the 30%. I say this all the time, but it does help support the channel, and if you do enjoy the regional videos, it helps me, keep doing them. So we're out of the Utah regional today. What in the middle of nowhere is going on here? Well, it looks like Kashtira has its hands deep in this metagame here. We had 3 of them things in Top Cut. Even out in the middle of nowhere, people understand what meta is. Jokes aside, it's nice to see, more representative, metagame push out here, as opposed to, Rogue kind of getting crazy here. We also had one Vanquish Soul. Vanquish Soul actually ended up winning this regional. What in the metagame is going on? Well, yeah, if people aren't too familiar still with how to handle, Vanquish Soul, I will tell you that this Vanquish Soul list does kind of break the norm of, being TC Boo, literal, trash. But I think that that's actually pretty nice to see. Now, also Sword Soul made a top. Somebody's going to comment and be like, Robbie, where's, the Sword Soul deck? I see that Runic topped here. I don't have any of, these other lists. Information was not made public for them. The best that we could do was find out what the players were playing. I would love to have had the chance to take a look, what the Runic player was bringing to the table, but there's nothing out there for it. So it's the best we got. We do have a Mathmech deck, though. I will say that it has been nice to see the little innovations and things that Mathmech has been, trying to adapt towards here. Especially, with one circular now. Players kind of have to find a push to, try different things. And then we do have the Sky Striker deck that made Top Cut here as well. Another regional with no Sprite. It's very interesting. Once again, I talk about those regional differences out here, and where you see, these huge, big changes in region to region. Let's pass on over to those deck lists. All right, so the first deck we're going to be looking at here is Vanquish Soul. Ooh. No TC Boos. None. There are no TC Boos anywhere in this list. To be honest with you, in terms of optimization, I can understand where you're trying to push like more of a combo variant, I feel like, or you're obviously trying to use talents to capitalize more on things. That's why you have like the additional copy Zeus down here. And then of course, well, let's be honest here for a second. Bangertops is a stupid good card. So, if you're doing, Fenrir into Fenrir, actually we're not even playing the Arise Heart to trigger into the additional. Okay, that's interesting. So they just opted to kind of cut out a lot more of the established stuff that we see for like more defensive options here. Obviously, you have Ashes, your Veilers, and your Ghost Bells. No imperms, but you do technically have books and talents as well, and of course, Curry cards here to kind of patch up a lot of the holes. And you also have, additional hand traps down here as well for post-side decking, so that's pretty decent. Triple Pot of Prosperity for filtering. This deck is doing the Merrymaker on into the Champion Sargass play. This has been something that we've kind of noticed a little bit more coming up. Obviously, being able to toggle for Sargass and, go search for a free Regulus, or a free Regulus here. Your opponent's just going to look at you and go, what am I supposed to do? So, like, between, like, the key differences and a lot of the other things that you kind of see in the meta, it comes down to, do the sacrificing of tech choices like TC Boo for, an inclusion of something like Regulus here, maybe other defensive options in other categories. Does that, make it worthwhile in terms of supplementary deck building? And it looks like it did for this. Winning a regional is, no matter where it is a pretty big feat, to be honest with you. Next up here, hey, it's Mathmech. Okay, so first thing I see down here is we're back in a time capsule right now. We dusted off our royal decrees for this event, and we said, you know what? We're going to bring in these bad boys. We're going to detour anything that the opponent does. I find this hilarious. To be honest with you, making a Mathmech board or, having to play through IKEA is pretty hard. Of course, you have the Grave of the Super Ancient Organism here. This has been a recurring tech choice as of late here. You drop this on a Kashtira player. The Kashtira player is going to look at you now that they've slowed down and be like, Wow, thanks for stopping me from searching. It's not like I really wanted to play the game or something today. Now, with the inclusion of the firewall stuff in here, is this the... Yeah, okay, we are playing the One Guardian as well. About to say, the fact you get access to this stuff usually means we're going to put in the Neo Tempest Terahertz here as well. Once again, it's an extremely powerful boss monster. You're playing it for obvious reasons for this, but kind of keep in mind that some of other people won't really... They believe you don't need to go down this path. You don't even have to play the firewall stuff. You can still play regular Mathmech. Comes down to the deck building yet again. I can't stress it out too much. Mathmech does have a lot of room right now for innovations, and I think that we're going to continue to see some of the more little interesting things out here for this deck, for this format. Next up here... how many Kashtira decks does it take to screw in a light bulb? I'll give you an answer. Evidently just one Arise Heart, because you're going to banish the light bulb and all of a sudden it's inside of him as the Exceed material. But I digress. Boy, so we are playing 2 Crossout Designator. We just opt not to want to play the third. Interesting. We have the Econ, we have a Forbidden Lance, we have 1 Talents, and we have 1 Evenly Matched. And we have 1 Book of Moon. What is with this spread? I'm trying to process this, because looking at the ratios of things here, it's crazy. They were really pushing for the crossout here, and they were still trying to cover defensive options. Technically, if you're showing, these things to your opponent, game 1, game 2 happens, they're going to be like, what is all these defensive options? So technically, the mental threat of having the multiple cards actually is about as good as playing multiple copies of these. And then, of course, you're rounding things out as crossout designator targets as well. So this is literally mental warfare to make sure that your opponent, ends up seeing one of these. They're like, oh crap, like they're playing lances. So now they're going to play around lance for the rest of the day. Actually, kind of genius, actually. It's kind of crazy that worked out. Hey, it's Sky Striker with Chalice in the main. Well, you do need about as many ways as you can to turn off a Rise Heart. Like, let's be honest here. Walk and talk a Macrocosmo Man is always going to be a big issue for this. We have our 1 Bysteel Magnet, and the other 4, but that's neither here nor there. Hamp actually seeing play here as well. The fact that you need a in-house kaiju that you can search for is pretty good. My favorite line of text on this card is literally, it's always treated as a Sky Striker card. So yeah, especially right now with how much the meta has kind of degenerated a little bit, you need to make sure that you have something like this. You're like, oh hey, I can toggle for a kaiju essentially at any time off of my engages. You have the linkage for the OTKs that you can just steal games from. Obviously, looking at the rest of this, I don't see anything too crazy here. Standard defensive options have been pretty good for this deck. Wow, we're going triple Shark Cannon here. So your main deck in the 1, citing the additionals here, and then we have Ghost Bells down here as well. But looking at the rest of this deck, it does feel, I guess, kind of normal at this stage. I can't think of any other particularly interesting innovations that you can kind of throw on the table for this deck, because especially down here in the extra deck, I guess the Dark might feel a little bit out of left field, but you no longer have Hulk, you no longer have, a lot of the free extension things that you had previously, so you're kind of stuck working with what you've been given. Alright, and the last list here is another Kashtira deck. I see that this build did opt for Lava Golems. We've seen Lava Golem kind of bouncing back and forth a little bit out here as something a little bit more accessible for the deck. Obviously, your entire life purpose for this is you drop it on your opponent stares at you, blinks a couple times, and goes, what am I supposed to do with this? It's basically take out 2 boss monsters, do your thing. First is, kaijus, which obviously can only patch 1 problem. This handles that. We have double Rise Heart here. 1 Ogre for the 1 prep is pretty standard. And then we are main decking books and cosmics here. And we're also playing enemy controllers in here as well. You gotta love the fact that you can just detour take an opponent's card and then proceed to, laugh all the way to the bank with it. But that is everything that we have out of the Utah Regional today. So please, leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think, and I will see your beautiful faces back here later today, guys. Peace out. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.